Hi fairies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fifi. It's so nice to have you here. I hope you stay a while. I have seen so much discourse online about the fact that almost the same exact books are constantly being regurgitated by every single book talker, booktuber. People are talking about the same authors, the same books, the same series, and it's like, oh, give us something new. And so here I am to do just that. In this video I am going to be recommending 5 books that you probably have not heard of but you really need to pick up. Let's get right into it. The first book I am recommending to you is my most recent read of this pile. We have The Do-Over by Bethany Turner. This is a contemporary romance following McKenna Keating and Henry Blumenthal. Okay, McKenna has literally devoted her entire life to this particular job. She is now working to be the senior partner at her law firm. She's not really thinking about love, dating. She's just focused on her job. But on the day that she is expected to be promoted, she is basically let go. Not really let go, she's placed on a leave, okay, paid leave, where they are going to have to investigate because there has been a situation of her embezzling money. Essentially, it feels like her life is falling apart. She goes back home for her sister's wedding, something happens, she comes in contact with this person from her high school who is now a very renowned producer of various documentaries. She has been a huge fan of him and his documentaries for a long time, but she didn't know that it was the same person that she knew from high school. And they go on one date. Obviously things fall into place. You know how this goes, it's a romance. But there's this whole situation of him basically looking into her genealogy because that's something that he is researching with her father. In the course of this research that he is doing, he realizes and finds out that there's this whole thing in her family lineage where all the women that have died before 40 were unmarried and without children. She's trying not to think too much about it. Obviously it's a coincidence, but the fact that she's 38 has her a little bit worried. My favorite thing about this book was the writing. I thought the writing was so freaking good. It was very intellectual, very well done, and had just enough humor incorporated into it that really just hooked me, to be honest. I have a number of lines that I highlighted in this book. I also really liked the characters. They felt quite real to me. I didn't necessarily connect to the romance itself as much as I would have liked. It was a little bit annoying, especially the third act breakup. But yeah, I just really enjoyed the writing of this book and how everything came together. I think this should be an author that is talked about a lot more. I can't wait to read more of her work. I'm not a huge romance fan, especially contemporary romance, and I gave this 4 stars. So if you are in fact a romance fan, if you love bingeable, cute, intellectual romance books, I think you will really love and enjoy this. The next book we have is Under One Roof by Samantha Thong. This is a literary fiction following 3 women: Faye, her daughter Robin, and her granddaughter Amber. She and her daughter have been estranged since her husband died. They have never really had a good relationship, but once that happened, they didn't really speak until something happens. She hurts herself and her daughter comes back to take care of her for a little while. One day, Robin finds an unopened scroll, the last of the treasure hunts her much-missed father used to take them on every Sunday, and her father believes this particular hunt will change the trajectory of her relationship with her mother. They kind of ignore it, they don't really take it seriously until her daughter Amber comes over and she sees the scroll and she's like, oh, we have to do this together. And in the course of that, obviously, their relationship become something much better than it was. I thought this book was so freaking good. I really liked the writing. I also liked the characters. I think I'm going to say this a lot in this video, but the characters felt very real and I liked how the story unfolded. I gave this 4 stars, but I just think that if you're into very wholesome literary reads, you will definitely enjoy this, so pick it up. Next book on our little list is one that I have spoken about so much this year: Frost Blood by Ellie Blake. This is a fantasy romance. I genuinely think the fantasy of this book is more prominent than the romance, but the romance was just enough to feed my heart. It's definitely a slow burn. Nothing really happens because this is YA, but I love this so much. We basically have Ruby, our main character, who is a fire blood living in a land ruled by frost, where her very existence is a crime, okay? And one day things happen. The first blood soldiers come to her little village and upend things, destroy the whole town, kill her mother, and take her into custody. She spends about 6 months rotting in jail until some rebel frost bloods come and save her, break her out of the jail, and bring her into their little community where they are trying to uproot the king. She must travel deep into the heart of the enemy to the court of the first king with only the mysterious warrior Arcos, a rebel first blood. Okay, so obviously Arcos is the male main character. I love him so much. He's obviously your typical brooding, you know, deep, not very vocal main character. He has a scar, he has a hood, you know, it's very tropey. I will say that it's quite tropey, but this book came out over 10 years ago, so I feel like this would not be considered as a book following the trend. It should be considered as one of the OGs. So keep that in mind when you are going into this. In the beginning, you might feel like the male main character doesn't really have much depth except for his old brooding vibe, but that makes sense when you get further into it and when you reach the final page where things are explained. Okay, I don't want to spoil it obviously, but I just loved this book so much. Okay, there wasn't anything too special about it. The writing was quite simple, nothing too flowery, nothing too deep, but I feel like it just worked so well. It was very concise, it was very to the point. There's no part of this book that I would say was unnecessary, and that is something that I treasure these days, because it feels like sometimes authors will just put this and that and that and this and just try to make up scenarios that don't necessarily need to be in a book to, I don't know, fill a word count or make the book bigger or better than they think it should be. I don't know what exactly it is, but I feel like this was just the perfect first book in a series, because it is the first book in a series. I haven't really continued the series yet because I just haven't had time, to be honest. I would love to continue it, but I do feel like this could have been a standalone. That's my only thing. This could have been a standalone. The way it ended, I don't think it necessarily needed to be a series, but I can see where the rest of the books in the series come to fruition. I can see how that comes to be, because we have a whole situation at the end that is kind of unfinished. But yeah, if you are into YA fantasy romance books, you definitely need to pick this up. I have read this book 2 times now. I read it the first time in January, I gave it 5 stars, but I read it again last month or last 2 months and I gave it 4 stars, because there were some things where I was like, that could have been better, that could have been done differently. But ultimately, I think this is a really good fantasy romance book for your enjoyment. The 4th book I have for you is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This is a fantastical historical fiction. Basically, we have Fleetwood Shuttleworth, who is 17 years old, married and pregnant for the 4th time. Yes, I know how that sounds. This book is set in 1612. Like, what do you want to do? Obviously, at the time, having children and giving your husband a child is the whole point of women, okay? Which is unfortunate, obviously, but that was the case. We have Fleetwood just trying every which way to keep a child for her husband, and she comes in contact with Alice Gray, a young midwife who promises to help her give birth to a healthy baby. But Alice is drawn into the witchcraft accusations that are sweeping the Northwest. Fleetwood risks everything by trying to help her. As the legendary Pendle witch trials approach and Fleetwood's stomach grows, time is running out and both their lives are at stake. This was so freaking good to me. Okay, it's a thick one, I will say that, but I feel like every single aspect of this book was very important, very necessary, and the ending almost had me tearing up because it was just so womanly. I don't know how to explain it. Like, this really just explores the nuances of womanhood, and especially at the time where women weren't taken seriously by any means. It was just very interesting to read about, and the story itself was so interesting and so good. I honestly feel like I'm going to pick this up again soon, and it's crazy because I have always been somebody that's like, oh, I'm not a rereader, I don't like rereading books when I have so many other books I need to read. But these days, I've been feeling like picking up my favorite books once again. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It wasn't necessarily a 5-star read for me, but I thought it was so good. If you're into historical fiction, it has an amazing plot with very realistic characters as well, and I just think you would enjoy this so much if you're into historical fiction, or if you're not and you would like to get into it. The writing was so freaking good, a bit flowery, but nothing too deep where you're like confused and not really understanding what's going on. I feel like the writing was good enough that the point was passed across well enough, but it still had depth and intricacies and intelligence to it. So yeah, you need to pick this up like yesterday. The final book, which is the only 5-star of the Spow, one of my favorite books that I have read this year, another book that I would definitely be rereading soon enough, The Falcons of Fire and Ice by Karen Maitland. This book this book. I don't know if you can see that, but I have another book by the same author, and I have been saving that one for a rainy day. I am going to pick it up soon enough, but this book was so freaking good. It is in fact a fantastical historical fiction, and I would say it was very much more fantastical than the last one I told you about, the familiars. Basically, this is set in the 1500s, where the Portuguese Inquisition is ruthlessly burning and torturing heretics. When the royal falconer is imprisoned on false charges to remove him from the inner circle of the boy king, the inquisitors strike an impossible deal with his daughter Isabella: bring back 2 rare white falcons from Iceland within the year, or her father dies. Meanwhile, in Iceland, there is a menacing stranger who appears to have possessed the soul of a woman chained up in a volcanic cave and is threatening to destroy the community. The woman's twin sister, Adis, is desperate to intervene, but vivid dreams suggest the twins' only salvation lies with a young girl from afar traveling in search of white feathers. Isabella's quest might hold a more crucial purpose than she could ever imagine, and there are those among her travel companions who have interest in doing her harm. But in order to fulfill her destiny, first she must reach Iceland's shores alive. I honestly cannot tell you anything more than to just pick this book up. The writing is impeccable, and the way that it's so serious and flowery enough are still able to incorporate humor in the voice of one of the characters. I won't say it because I don't want to spoil this. I don't want to give you too much. I really want you to just dive headfirst into this book. There's a particular character who is my favorite character of this book. He is just so morally grey, but also so funny, and I love him. Honestly, we literally just have Isabella alongside a number of people traveling to Iceland, trying to obviously save her father, and so many things happen, so many things unfold within this book. You have somebody trying to kill Isabella so she doesn't make it back, because they really don't want her father to be set free. They don't want him to have the relationship that he had with the boy king. The first 10% of this book is really sad, because we are seeing, you know, the effects of the Inquisition unfortunately torturing and burning people because they don't agree with the Christian religion that they have put in place. The rest of the book, though, we follow Isabella on this quest, and you're just constantly worried about her, wondering if she is going to make it. This is my first book by this author, but I feel like she's so underrated because this book came out almost 15 years ago. I went to Goodreads and it had like less than 1,000 ratings, and I'm like, you all are literally asleep. Like, pick this up right now. I actually just think everybody needs to read this book. I will continue to rave about this book till the end of time. I can't wait to reread it. So yeah, that's about it. That brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed, you know, hearing about all these books. I really hope I have convinced you to read at least one of these books. And yeah, if you have somehow heard of and read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. Let me know which book you would like to pick up. Just talk to me down below. I love reading and replying comments. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram if you want to be book besties or just besties in general. I would really love and appreciate that. But for now, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.